we've got to talk transfer stuff with talkSPORT's chief football correspondent and also terrible actor and voiceover, Mr. Alex Crook. How are you this morning?
Good morning, boys. I've got to say, it's wonderful to hear Troy back on the radio. I was concerned that maybe he was going to take the whole summer off, but welcome back.
Mate, that's the first time I've heard that, and I hope it's the last time I've heard that. That was awful. How are you, sir? We're just talking about Man United and talking about the comments from Angel Gomez. What's your take on it in terms of he's kind of said that, yes, sometimes the weight of the shirt is too heavy, but it's also about the environment and the opportunities for young players.
Yeah, listen, United's DNA is about bringing through players from the academy. They've got this record going back several decades of always having a squad player, who came through their academy either in the first 11 or on the bench. I think this year's Manchester derby was the first time in 5 or 6 years that there hasn't been an academy product out on the pitch, and that was obviously because Marcus Rashford by that time was persona non grata. But it's equally true, the shirt does weigh heavy. There's a lot of stick that goes Manchester United fans' way because obviously there's a lot of complaints about the Glazer regime, but they do still spend money on transfers. But the truth is they spent it badly, certainly since Sir Alex Ferguson and David Gill left the football club. I think what we're seeing this summer is a really interesting change of tact. Obviously, Matheus Cunha is already through the door. He's got a lot of Premier League experience. They want Brian Mbuemo, although they still haven't formally made a second offer to Brentford as yet. But again, proven in the Premier League. And even their striker targets, we're probably going to talk about Ugo Ekitike, who they now are showing an active interest in. But I think their priority would be Victor Gyokeres. And again, although he's not played much Premier League football, he has played in England. He's got that experience of what it takes and the pace of the game.
Where did he play in England?
Really gone wrong. Well, he played for Brighton, not very much in the Premier League. Obviously had a really good season at Coventry when he fired them into a playoff final. So he knows how robust the game in this country can be. And that's where they've gone wrong. If you look at the number of home signings they've made, the number of domestic signings with that Premier League and English football experience over the last decade, they're few and far between, and actually not many of them have worked out either. But I think we are seeing a more British core, or certainly British experience this summer that Manchester United are looking at.
Yeah, so obviously you just alluded to that there about the new strikers. I do want to get into that, but I just want to say, the weight of the shirt. Could we see Cunha as an example then? We're obviously at Wolves, leading the way, obviously a massive talent. If he was to go to Man United and not hit the same heights, would we say that the shirt's been too heavy for him?
Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to be saying that. I mean, he's a very confident boy, isn't he? He's maybe not the best trainer in the world, and that's putting it politely, but I think he believes he belongs in a Manchester United shirt. His little autograph, actually, that they put up on the Instagram feed on the day that he signed, I've got my magnifying glass out. I'm pretty sure there's a number 10 in his signature. That's Marcus Rashford's shirt at the moment. So that shows you the confidence he has that he's going to come in and straight away nick his teammate's jersey. I think he could well end up being quite a good signing, Matheus Cunha.
Let's get into the strikers then, mate. You alluded to two there. Who you hear is coming in for United?
Well, obviously, there was a lot of reports coming out of Portugal over the weekend that Gyokeres has made Arsenal his preference. Then there was talk, actually, that he might join an overseas club. So I think a lot of games are being played when it comes to Victor Gyokeres. Actually, neither United or Arsenal, as I understand it, have made a formal offer yet. He's made it pretty clear that he wants to come to England and he's going to push for that move. If United do miss out, they have held talks with the agent of Ugo Ekitike, a young striker at Frankfurt. But this is a big money deal for United to try and do. They want €100 million, Frankfurt. I'm not entirely convinced United will pay that. Certainly not without selling players first.
The problem as well, Crook, is because Højlund's been such a flop, they have to be so careful, don't they, Manchester United? That's why we're talking earlier. And then Troy says Liam Delap would have been perfect for Manchester United. You've seen what he can do in the Premier League with Ipswich, double figures in his first Premier League season. They've got to be careful, haven't they, who they sign because of how much of a flop Højlund was.
Yeah, and again, Delap was their top target, as I understand it, and backs up what I'm saying about them looking on these shores for signings. They held talks with him, so did Newcastle, so did Everton. It came down to a straight shootout between Chelsea and United, but Chelsea had the edge because they could offer Champions League football. So that defeat for United in Bilbao against Tottenham in the Europa League final really put paid to that. I think if they had qualified for the Champions League, Delap would have been a Manchester United player now, and I agree. listen, you can argue he's still raw. He's only had one season at the top level, but as you say, he got a dozen goals in a not brilliant Ipswich team. £30 million when number nines are filling the ground is good business.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just a couple on Liverpool. Is Gyokeres on the way? When are we expecting the Florian Wirtz deal to be done? And just a quick line on those two, please, mate.
Yeah, Wirtz is going to have a medical at the end of this week. Obviously, that's a British record fee. We broke it on the show on Friday, around about £116 million. And then Milos Kerez, very much Liverpool's next target. And some interesting quotes coming out from his dad last night saying that they came to Bournemouth for Richard Hughes. Richard Hughes now sporting director at Liverpool. If Richard Hughes said come to India, we would go to India. So that's pretty clear that Kerez is going to end up as a Liverpool player. I think the two clubs are just at the moment trying to agree a payment structure, personal terms already in place. And then don't be surprised if Liverpool turn their attention to a number 9 as well, because they've got money burning holes in their pockets because they're not really spent in the last couple of transfer windows. They certainly are spending now.
Crooked, there's been rumours that the Mbuemo deal is not guaranteed, and maybe Thomas Frank now going to Spurs. Maybe he can help change Mbuemo's mind, and Spurs looking more favourites to get him.
Well, there's definitely interest from Tottenham, and you can understand that with Thomas Frank crossing over to North London. My information is that Mbuemo still prefers Manchester United. That would be his ideal destination, but as I say, we're waiting for United to make their second offer. I think what they want to avoid, United, is having a number of bids rejected by Brentford, so they're in ongoing dialogue to try and agree what sort of price Brentford want, how much of that money would be up front, and then the next offer will come in. So certainly,
Why would he choose Man United over Spurs though, when he's got Champions League football?
Wages, the history of the football club.
I also think it fits. I think the fit at Man U is you can see where he goes in and plays. If you look at Spurs, it's where does he fit? You're going to have to move Son on. Do you get what I mean? At Spurs, I think Spurs will do well under Thomas Frank. I don't think they'll be fantastic. I think there's going to be some teething problems there. But I think at United, I said it to Crookie a load of times, I think they bottomed out. I think that defeat was a bottom out, and they're only going to come good on that. I just need to get one more line on Kyle Walker, mate, to Everton. We spoke about it a little bit earlier. Any news on that? Is that a goer or not?
Well, I don't think this is quite as close as maybe some people are reporting. There's not been any formal contact yet between Everton and Manchester City, but certainly we can say that Kyle Walker is a player that David Moyes admires. That they've got an opportunity on that right-hand side of the fence because Ashley Young left on a free transfer. But I think wages would be an issue, not just with Kyle Walker, but with Jack Grealish as well, who's wanted by Napoli. I think if those players end up going out on loan, or even in Kyle Walker's case, if he agrees to terminate the final year of his contract, I think Manchester City are going to have to top up the wages for the next year or so.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It's a really weird. It feels like, Crookie, with these two windows now, it feels like it's finished and we're just straight into transfers all the way through. And we do know that you will obviously bring us up to date.
We said that, didn't we, earlier, Crookie, about Kyle Walker. He sort of left Man City when they needed him, and he's gone to AC Milan. It hasn't worked, and I'm sure Pep's like, you're not coming back here. We're done with you. So now he's got to find a new club, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think actually if you looked at his England performance in that friendly against Senegal, you can understand why Pep's done with him. I mean, he's not the force he was. I thought it was ridiculous that he was even in the squad, bearing in mind that his loan at Milan didn't work out very well, let alone starting games. I'd be amazed if we get to this time next year and Kyle Walker is anywhere near the England picture.
Oh. What do you really think, mate? Anyway, always nice to see you, mate. Top man as always. Enjoy your holidays, mate. And I'm pretty sure you don't do any work anyway, so I'll see you again soon.
Are you at Ascot?
I will see you at Ascot.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.